back to the channel. Gonna do a video today, probably slightly overdue, but I think it's still going to be useful, of a long-term review of my used 2020 Audi E-Tron 55. Not really going to go into too much detail about the car itself. There's plenty of videos out there on the car. It's more going to be a case of just going into my experience of living with it and whether I would recommend it to other people, whether I'd recommend electric cars, being very much a petrol head myself, and just sort of general experience of it really. So I've done about 17,000 miles in 18 months in it, so fairly decent review, I think. It's been very good. I've liked it. The main thing is it's been very cheap, even factoring in the cost of the car. It's still cheaper than running my 2010 Volvo diesel. That used to average between 45 and 50 miles per gallon, depending on sort of driving you're doing. That used to cost me about £10 a day to get to and from work, which is about 50 miles. In this, if I charge it at night, which I can do because I'm on an EV tariff, so it only costs me 7 pence a kilowatt hour. It costs me in the realms of about £1.50 a day. So even excluding any money I get back when I come to sell the car at the end, if I break it down on a day-by-day basis, then I'm quids in on general overall cost. Also not paying tax on this at the moment. I re-taxed it before the April price came in, so at the moment I'm free until March next year, and even then it's only 190 quid a year, so it's not exactly expensive. So my experience of public charging, I've only done it probably 10 times at most, so try to keep it to an absolute minimum because obviously public charging is a lot more expensive. So as I said before, I charge at 7 pence a kilowatt hour at home, whereas ultra rapid, or whatever they call it, public charger will be in the realms of about 90 to 95 pence per kilowatt hour. So you're looking at 12-13 times the cost to fill up, but obviously you're paying for a convenience. It will fill up very quickly. I went down to Dover at the weekend, which was that's 140 miles each way from my house. Unfortunately the car wasn't on 100% before I left, just because it's like cock up by myself with regards to the charging app, but still it had started off the day of 190-ish miles, and I gave it a top up when we stopped off for lunch at Medway Services. It managed to do 100 miles of range, so it took it up to 195 miles to 80% in 12 minutes. It cost me a grand total of 25 quid, which is a bit more than it would probably cost you in a ultra modern efficient diesel, but given that only happens once in a blue moon, I don't really care. Overall the cost is still way cheaper than petrol equivalent or diesel equivalent. Anyway, I managed to then carry on journey, and the hotel we were staying at had overnight 7 kilowatt chargers that were only 43 pence a kilowatt hour, so charged up with on one of those overnight, which was fine. That cost me about 7 quid just to get it back up to 80%, and then obviously once I got home, I managed to make it home with about I think it was about 45 miles of range left. Again, that was only from 80%, so it was only from 190 miles, so fairly good, and that was on a blisteringly hot day, quite a lot of traffic, so aircon full blast the whole way there and back. So I count that as a win, really. So I try and keep public charging to an absolute minimum, and I've generally found that you don't really need to. Obviously there are people out there that will need to, because you can't have a charger at home for whatever reason, haven't got the space, haven't got the access, or rented, or you know, there's many reasons. But I'm fortunate that I had my charger put in at home. It was installed by Ohm, or one of their subcontractors. It was a bit of a battle with that. They tried charging me an additional £1,500 on top of the £1,000 already included by Audi when I bought the car, making that £2,500 charger installation. I contested this, obviously. I think on my last video I was going through this at the time. They're basically £2,500 wipes out any kind of saving you have on fuel over a couple of years. So anyway, backwards and forwards, I ended up saying to him, right, just come and install the basic standard installation where I don't have to pay any more money, and then I will get my electrician to come and move it for a reasonable price. They came as I expected. The guy that installed it didn't measure a thing. He asked me where I wanted it, he put it where I wanted it, he routed the cables exactly where I wanted it, and I didn't have to pay an extra 1,200 quid on top of the 8-metre cable that I paid for, and the additional surge protection device. So overall happy. So it's an Ohm Pro charger. Not very impressed with the software, it's very clunky. I still don't understand why. I don't know if other chargers do, but I know the Ohm Pro doesn't. It doesn't physically connect to the car with regards to communications. It relies on all its communications via the Audi app. The Audi app is a bit hit and miss. Generally it's fairly good, but sometimes it won't update, it won't send the right data, whatever, and between the two apps they just did not talk to each other, and it was awful. The amount of times I went out and the car hadn't charged because it thought it had charged but it hadn't, and it couldn't get communication, and it was just, yeah, it was a pain in the backside. So I ended up reverting the Ohm Pro charger back to what they call a dumb charger, so it's literally just a charger as if you had a socket in the wall, and then let Octopus control the car app, and all that does is it works out the cheap times and how much charge it's got, and it sends sends timers to the vehicle through the app, and then that's it. It then charges on those timers, and generally there's been one or two hiccups, mostly actually where I've updated I've wanted 100% in the car because I'm doing a long journey, so I update the car to say I want 100%, but then forget to update the Octopus app, so it only charges to 80%. So yeah, a couple of things like that, but I say mostly they're my fault. On the whole, the Octopus app being linked directly to the car seems to work very, very well. But I still don't understand why there's a physical cable connecting the charger to the car. Why can't the charger get data from the car like that? Public chargers do it. You don't link apps to get for a public charger to get your battery percentage. So why does a home charger need a SIM card and everything in it to do all that? It just seems like way overcomplicated and incredibly unreliable. So that's my 2 pence on that. I think it's all ridiculous. But anyway, that's fine. I charge at home, say mostly overnight. Sometimes Octopus will give me various slots throughout the day where it's down at 7 pence per thing if there's an excess of electricity. When the car is on those charging slots that Octopus have allocated me, or between 11:30 and 5:30 in the morning, between 11:30 at night and 5:30 in the morning time slot, the whole house is at 7 pence, so it made a big difference to our energy bill. We basically ended up, it's on an economy 7 schedule pretty much, so we did a lot of load shifting, did a lot of stuff overnight. We've slightly reverted back now because I've got a solar and battery set up, a DIY installed at home. We're basically running, other than the car and the odd time when I want the hot tub on when it's not particularly sunny, we're running pretty much completely off grid with electricity now. The battery and everything is managing to cope with everything except the car, just because the amount of electricity the car needs. You need batteries that I need to spend 5 times more than what I've spent now, and it's just not financially worth it given how cheap it is to charge. I'd only be saving myself £1.50 a day, which is, when you try and work it out over what essentially ends up being about 6 grand in batteries and stuff, it's just really not worth it. So that's my experience of home charging. Very good. Say very cheap, which is obviously the big draw. The car itself is great, it's fast, 410 horsepower, but it's only got an 0 to 60 of 5.5 seconds, so it's not it's not blisteringly fast. It's just impressive, the instant torque, and for a heavy car it does handle quite well. It's not a sports car by any means, it is a big car, but you can push it a little bit. You do sort of feel as though you can hear the tyres asking for mercy because it is a big car. But overall, it's a nice car. It's a really nice, comfortable place to be. It chomps up the miles with ease, cruise control and everything like that. It's all just really good. I love all that. It's just a little bit on the dull side. It's a black car, black Audi interior. It's a bit boring. I'm more into my, nice cream leather interiors and Jags and things like that, which they're a nicer place to be as a driver. So that's sort of my view on it. Overall, everything seems to work well. The infotainment system works well. It's all very easy to use. A lot of people say the screens are a bit, not very easy to use when you're driving and things like that, and for buttons. I do, I get that, but they have designed it very well. All the haptic feedback and everything on it is very easy to use. Because you've got big panels either side, you can touch buttons easily and rest your hand on there so you're not wobbling around. I think it gives it a very modern feel, feels like a new car. I like it, it's good. Reliability on the whole has been very good. I had a few issues when I first got the car in the first probably 6 months, mainly with the driver's side charging port, which is the fast charge one, so that's got DC charging on it. The passenger side port is only AC, so you can only go up to 22 kilowatts I think, whereas the driver's side you can go up to 150. And basically the locking pin was stuck, so when you plugged the charger in, it wouldn't lock the pin in, therefore it wouldn't start a charge. I did have it a few times where it did manage to sort of lock the pin in, and it then wouldn't unlock the pin, which is a pain. Described all this to Audi. Lo and behold, when you take it to Audi, it works fine on their charger. So anyway, after a little bit of moaning at them and stuff and sending videos of it clearly not working, went back to them. They had the battery out, so I was without the car for 2 weeks I think it was, and because it was a emergency job, they couldn't provide me a hire car or courtesy car because there wasn't one available. So they had all the batteries out, and they had to replace I think it was a battery control module on one of them. They said that was going to fix the problem. I told them it wouldn't, because it's a physical motor not working in the charge port. Anyway, got the car back about 3 or 4 days later, lo and behold, exactly the same thing happens. It stops charging on that side. Again, this isn't really too much of a problem for me because I can charge on the slow side, the other side, but it's still not right because, you know, if I needed to charge on a fast charger, it would have scuppered me. So I was adamant I wanted it fixed. It was all done under warranty, so I sent it back. They said, oh yeah, no, there is a fault with the charge port. So they replaced the charge port. This time I gave them enough warning, so I booked it in ahead of schedule. So I had a hire car. I got a 2024 Audi A4, which was all right, you know, but it was quite nice seeing that an Audi A4 was considerably smaller than this inside, but it also felt like a much worse product, if you know what I mean. So this feels like a vastly greater premium product, which was nice because it is, it's a lot of money. And it's nice to feel that you're actually getting what you pay for. So that was good. That was all sorted, and touch wood, since have not had any more issues. The only little issues I've had have all been to do with frost, basically. So when it's very cold, frosty, the car struggles a lot with a lot of various sensors and things. That has nothing to do with being electric. I would imagine if you get any other premium Audi, or to be honest, any other premium modern car, they will probably do the same. Basically what it is everything is controlled electronically, and all the switches and mechanisms just aren't man enough to cope with frost. So like the door handles won't work, so we're about to climb across from the passenger side. And then if you do manage to get them to work, when you close the door, it still thinks the door's open because the latch is stuck slightly. All these door handles internally are all electronically controlled, so there's a delay between you pulling this handle and the door opening. And a couple of people mentioned that in some reviews I'd watched before I bought the car, and I was like, you're just never going to notice. You do notice. Even if it's only half a second, you do notice it, and it can be annoying, but mainly it's the problems when it's cold. The park and brake throws a hissy fit and won't work. I mean, it comes off all right, seems all right, but it just throws up all warnings on the dash. All the sign recognition stuff, the Audi pre-sense anti-collision thing, that all comes up throwing faults, saying it doesn't work because I guess all the sensors have got frost on them. And generally, once you've got into your journey a little bit, the car's warmed up, they all go away. It's and you never see them again until it's frosty again. But it just can be quite annoying. The wing mirrors don't fold back out, so you're driving along and they're still folded in. You can't fold them out, you can't push them out because they're so delicate that you risk breaking them, and a new mirror is sort of 1,200 quid. So it's all just bits like that. They're nothing to do with it being an electric car. That is just a modern car where everything is electric, unfortunately. But other than that, really like it, really happy with it. A couple of things I really like are, so in the winter when it's really cold outside, one way of getting around a lot of these problems with the doors sticking and windows and mirrors and stuff like that is you can preheat the car. So you can set a timer on the car, say, right, I want the car to be ready by 7 o'clock in the morning. What it will do is 20 minutes before 7 o'clock, it will turn all the heaters on, demist all the windscreen, get all the car nice and warm. You can do the same in the summer as well. So on days like this weekend, for instance, and this last week, and I'd imagine most of this week, it's very warm with like low 30s temperature. Obviously, being black leather is horrendous to get into when it's warm. So you can set the air conditioning to come on 20 minutes before you're going on a journey, and it just gets to see everything really nice and cold, so you're getting into a nice cool car. And yeah, it's a very much a first world solution, but it is absolutely brilliant. I love it. Where were we? Slightly go back to the running costs. Obviously charging is cheap enough, that's great. So other service items, servicing, so I got 2 years service plan, 2 years, 2 free MOTs with the car when I bought it. 2 year servicing, these are only serviced every 20,000 miles or 2 years, and when it is serviced, if you have to pay for it, it is much cheaper, because all they're doing is replacing the brake fluid and replacing the pollen filter and giving it an inspection basically. MOTs sailed for its last one, it's got its next one next month, so we'll see, but I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. Tyres, that was one thing I was a bit concerned about. I'd read a lot online, being obviously a heavy car and a lot of power. A lot of people said they absolutely rinse tyres. I've not found that to be the case at all. So say I've done about 17,000 miles in this now. Brand new set of Bridgestones were fitted to it when I bought it. They cost I think it was £1,000, so 250 quid a corner. They've still got, don't know, probably 3-4 mil left on them. They don't need changing anytime soon, which is good. So that's quite impressive really. I would imagine I'll probably get 20,000 miles out of them, which I think is absolutely fine for a tyre on what is essentially a large car. I'm not going to make through there, I've got to curve my wheels, so I'm just going to have to sit here. Anyway, yeah, that probably sort of covers it for general running costs. Brakes, obviously something you don't really need to consider. They last way longer than in a internal combustion car, because you don't really use them very much. You only use them for slow speed or for quick decelerations. Most of your braking is done with your regen, which is controllable by the paddles on the level of regen, sorry, is controlled by the paddles on the steering wheel, which is lovely. With regards to that, so basically you've got your paddles like you would normally in an automatic. This doesn't have gears, so they're not for the gears. What they are for is for turning your level of regen upon lift off of throttle, up or down. So as you get in the car, there is no level of deceleration regen unless you touch the brakes. You can tap the left hand paddle, it goes to stage 1, of which case is a deceleration of, I think it's 0.07 G, and 0.15 G, sorry. Because it's under 0.15 G, it doesn't put the brake lights on. So when you're going along in traffic, or you're coming up to some traffic, or coming to a roundabout, you can just tap that and it starts to slow you down without putting your brake lights on. So you see a lot of cars at Teslas and stuff where they've got the 1 foot acceleration and braking all in the same thing, and they're constantly on off the brake lights, and it's such an inefficient way of driving. It's ridiculous, and it looks stupid. It looks like you can't drive properly. So it's nice that you can do the regen deceleration without putting the brakes on. If you go to the second stage, then it does put the brake lights on, which is fine, you know. The only thing I have found with the regen and the braking is, if your car is fully charged 100%, obviously it can't regen because there's nowhere for that energy to go. So if you're at 100%, you don't have regen, and you're just using the brakes. The brakes are worse than the regen, so you have to press the pedal a lot harder for the brakes to do the same effectiveness, or have the same effectiveness as the equivalent regen, which is fine if you're aware of that and you know it. It's fine. Occasionally, and I don't know why, I've not been able to work out a pattern or anything like that. Sometimes you'll be coming up to a roundabout, put your foot on the brake, it'll go into regen, it'll start slowing you down, then the regen will stop and it'll go over to hydraulic brakes. As soon as it does that, because you're not moving your foot on the pedal, it reduces its braking effort, essentially. So it's like you're taking your foot off the brake, which is exactly, obviously, not what you want. Say that only seems to happen every now and then. I can't seem to find any rhyme nor reason why it does it. I can't make it do it, I can't repeat it. It's just occasionally you'll be coming up to a roundabout, you'll be like, oh, I'm not slowing down quite as fast as I thought I would be. And then you look down and lo and behold, your regen's on 0 because it's using all the hydraulic brakes. Not really a problem. The hydraulic brakes are still plenty good enough for the size of the car. It's just the difference between hydraulic and regen is quite significant, so it can catch you out, but that's fine. What else? One other thing I quite like, which a lot of cars, modern cars, don't seem to do, so it's got the whole thing where if you pull up to traffic lights or whatever, you can take your foot off the brake and it just holds the handbrake. As soon as you put your foot on the accelerator, it releases the handbrake and pulls away. It's great. But what it also does, which is a little bit annoying, is the whole time you're sat there, it holds the brake lights on. I find that really annoying when people sit on the brake and they sit there with the brake lights on. It's not what you're supposed to do. If you were to do that in your driving test, you'd fail. You're supposed to have the handbrake on, it's fine. But the nice thing is, if you just tap the handbrake, put the handbrake on, you don't feel any different, but it turns the brake lights off. It's still a case of you pull away without touching anything, so there's no extra work other than the pull of the handbrake. And I just think it's nice, and certainly at night and stuff, you know, brake lights can be really intense. If you're sat there in a slow moving traffic jam, just to be able to tap the handbrake and suddenly you're not blinding the person behind you quite so much. Just a nice little thing. I would imagine I'm probably the only person that's ever thought of it, and probably the only person ever that it annoys, but such is life. So with regards to lighting and such like, all E-Trons are fitted with the Matrix headlights. The difference is you have to pay to activate them. It's not entirely clear. I've not been able to work it out yet. I think as soon as a car changes ownership, the subscription, or any subscriptions that are active on the car, get wiped. So if you pay for, you can pay for it in as little as month instalments. So what I do with the I quite like the cornering lights in the winter, they're quite handy, and I like the animations when you unlock and lock the car on the lights, just little quirky things, but obviously during the summer you don't use the lights, so it's pointless. So what I do is during the winter months, when I quite like to have those features available, is I just pay for them on a monthly basis. I think it's like 20 quid or something, so 3 months of the year I'm paying 20 quid, but I'm not paying the £700 or whatever it is to pay for it for 5 years or whatever their subscription thing is. The Matrix lights, I did that. They do a 1 month trial for £1 for each of the things. I trialled the Matrix lights for a month, and I really didn't like them. I constantly felt like I was blinding people. They're very slow to react. You could tell people coming the other way were in the block of light that's supposed to have been dispersed by the matrix, and just very clunky, not very good. I would imagine if the proper matrix lights that were on the things like the S8s and things like that, I would imagine they are much better, but on this they're almost a bit of a poverty spec version, and they're just not up to it. It's not good enough. While we're on the subject of driver assist, I guess, as it were, that aren't adequate, the lane assist is appalling. It's the first thing I do when I get in the car, turn it off. You can't disable it permanently. I have a funny feeling Audi themselves may be able to reprogram it and turn it off. I'd be very surprised if they couldn't, because on the A4 that I had as a courtesy car, that had it permanently off and you had to enable it if you wanted it. On this, you have to get in, you have to tap the end of the indicator stalk every time you get in and turn it off. And if you don't turn it off, obviously it can be useful if you're on a motorway and the lines are absolutely crisp and perfect, it knows exactly where they are. It can be useful if you suddenly drift across a lane. If you're like me and you don't indicate coming back in because you don't need to, you indicate coming out, it will try and actively steer you the other way. The steering input is very aggressive, and where I found the biggest problem is when you're driving on country roads. If you're driving on country roads where the lines are a bit hit and miss, they're not that clear, and yeah, the lines really aren't that clear. It can get to the point where it actually tries to steer you into the curb, and it is outright dangerous. How they're allowed to have it, I do not know. It's ridiculous how strong the steering input is. Certainly if it catches you off guard, you know, if you're just driving down a country lane, even if you stick in your lane, you know, and suddenly the white line appears on the left hand side or in the middle and the road's a little bit narrow, it will actively try and steer your steering to one side. And the amount of times I've had to swerve to almost, well, to not hit a curve is ridiculous. So now I'm in the habit, every single time I get in the car, first thing I do is turn it off, because it is the worst driver assist known to man. But other than that, the rest of the driver assist are all right. You know, the collision, the Audi pre-sense thing can be a bit sensitive sometimes. You have plenty of time to stop. There's no need to. And most of the time, it only flashes up a warning and bongs at you. Occasionally, I have had it where it actually applies the brakes. That can be a bit intense. And as I say, but always unnecessary. I have had it do it once or twice on a bend where you're going quite quickly around a bend. It doesn't realise you're going around a bend and tries to put the brakes on because it thinks you're going to go straight ahead. That probably about covers it, I think. Certainly for this video. If people like this video, maybe I'll do another one going into a few more of the features and things like that, but on the whole I think that probably covers it. So yeah, hopefully that's answered people's questions. People like it. If you did like it, please drop me a comment. I've got lots of positive comments about previous videos, seem to be quite useful. So yeah, drop me a comment, like, subscribe would be nice if you like my content. I've got lots of other videos like this. Got a whole new big exciting project coming up that we're going to be doing some videos on, so hopefully something very different to what we normally do, so that'll be exciting. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Bye.